My back went from just sneezing Sound familiar? Now this is always very interesting because I get loads of people coming in all the time, obviously with bad backs, and they always say, ooh, I think it happened because of such and such, or I think it was because of whatever. And the reality is they're always looking for a physical, legitimate, sort of injurious kind of activity that would actually do their back in, which would overload their back and would pull a muscle in their back or whatever. And actually, some people do describe sneezing, which is not exactly strenuous. And it's interesting to see what obviously the evidence on this actually shows. What do people actually commonly report causes their back pain? Because obviously I see plenty of people and I've got an idea, and I don't think it's physical stuff at all. It'd be interesting to see what the evidence on this says, and that's exactly what we're going to look at today. So specifically, they looked at the reasons people gave for back pain that was from a lumbar disc herniation. So this is what people might call a slipped disc, although that's technically incorrect because discs don't really slip. A herniation or a prolapse are the same sort of thing. It's basically where the nucleus of the disc is sort of protruding out a little bit, pressing on the nerve root in the lower back area. So this was a survey of 154 individuals who obviously all had this condition, and they asked them what basically brought the symptom on. No surprise, 62% actually said they had no idea. They could not tell you how, when, why, whatever, that it came on. Nothing pretty much caused it, it just came out of the blue. 26% of people said it was from just normal activities, things like making the bed or whatever. It was only 6% from heavy lifting, but 2% from light lifting. I always say, picking a pencil up off the ground and the back goes kind of thing. So 2% is from that type of activity. 2% is from non-exertional activities, things like coughing, sneezing, things like that. And 1% is from trauma itself. So things like a fall or whatever. So this shows you that people often come in and go, I must have overloaded my back. So I've got to be careful when I lift, and I've got to be careful with my back. It's a weak back and I've got to be careful. It's like, well, no, this is not what this means. Like we saw here, only 6% were from heavy lifting. So this shows you that really the causes of back pain aren't really from things that you think that it's from. And this also aligns to going forwards when you've got a bad back, to not avoid things like the plague. That doesn't mean you power through agonizing pain, of course, but your body likes movement, it needs to get going again. And the realities is that when we know with the MRI studies that have been done in previous studies, that disc herniations are very common in people with no symptoms whatsoever. It could even be the night before that person just had a really bad night's sleep, their pain threshold drops, they sneeze, and their back goes. It obviously is just an awareness of that problem, not the problem getting worse in the here and now. So if they were happy to lift before and that lifting didn't cause a problem, they should be okay lifting in the future as well. But a lot of people get very worried with backs and start to fear avoid and stop doing things because they think, I've got a weak back, it's going to go by doing something physical and heavy. When in fact, the reasons of physical and heavy aren't actually that prevalent. And it may well be that this is more correlatory anyway than causation. But it's an interesting survey of the 154 people to see what actually was causing their disc herniation kind of pain. So anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time.